The weekend is over. Monday is here. Monica McNutt. I mean, I don't know if y'all saw her do a little sideline thing yesterday. I mean, the versatility just continues to shine and shine brightly. And then she showed that work ethic when she flew across the country and came to New York City just to sit across from your boy. Needless to say, I can't say that about Molly Q because she already in L.A. ahead of schedule. And Big Perk, I mean, the brother looked good like Mr. T and all of this other stuff. But at times, he does look a little tired. Here's some tips for you, KP, just in case you need them.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like the glasses.
I do
you like the look, KP? It's about that time. It's about that time, baby. It's about that time.
I love them. Only in L.A., though. You only can wear those when you in L.A. or Miami.
Okay, they didn't tell you? I'm on my way to L.A. That's why I got first takes in the house. Let's go.
Good day. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into First Take, my people. Look at this crew. SA, as always, I saw you at the Cardis. Don't hurt them. Good job this weekend. Countdown all weekend. I'm sure you've been complaining how tired you are. But Monica, the real MVP today with the cross-country flight. Loving the shades of pink. And, of course, my guy Perk. Perk, I thought you were going to be here with me, but it's all good. I won't hold it against you. How's everybody feeling this morning?
I only have one thing to say.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hi, Molly.
What'd he say?
I said hi,
Molly. He's the grouchy Molly.
You know what? You know what, Stephen A.? I would try to rub it in right now because I was power walking by the beach yesterday, toes in the sand.
Hold it! Stop right there. Don't just say that to the American people. Perk, Eminem,
yes.
Molly actually sat up there. I mean, I'm minding my business, working now.
Okay.
Molly gonna sit up there and send a photo of the beach.
I did.
Of the beach.
Of the palm
just
trees,
low,
the beach.
Just
it was
digging
glorious.
it in, you know what I'm saying?
But I was watching you holding it down on Countdown, and I'll say this in all seriousness, though, Stephen A., my mom's out here with me, and it's about that. I'm glad she's getting to enjoy it all, so it's a lot of fun. So I'm not even going to talk junk right now. Guys, we got a lot to get into. Let's do this. So after eyebrow-raising comments made by LeBron James leading up to the trade deadline and continuing through the All-Star weekend, James made it clear he wants the Lakers, the team he's played for the past 4 years of his 19-year career, to be the final franchise he plays for, saying this after the Lakers' 105-102 loss to the Clippers. This is a franchise I see myself being with. I'm here. I see myself being with the purple and gold as long as I can play. I wonder if he still feels that way, though, guys. After last night hitting new lows, LeBron was booed by Lakers fans. Did you hear it in the third? With LA trailing by 19 points, and LeBron had his 6th turnover of the game and the team's 18th turnover in a 28-point loss to the Pelicans at home. Here's Russell Westbrook on those boos.
Does the booing, pretty loud, especially at the end of the game, does that stick with you? Like, how do you respond to that? Like, you don't take that home with you?
Take it home for what?
I don't think about it.
Take it home. Man, well, I got 3 beautiful kids at my house. My wife ain't taking it home. They take their boo and they take their home.
I don't have an answer from tonight. I mean, obviously, you talk about the future. That's for us all to figure out. I mean, you don't know what can happen in the next, few weeks. But tonight, I mean, from the 6-minute point of the second quarter through the third, no answers. No, this season is definitely different.
But LeBron downtrodden. The Lakers currently sit in 9th in the Western Conference standing. LA holds a 3-game lead in the loss column over both the Pelicans and the Trailblazers. Remember, seeds 7 through 10 will participate in a play-in tournament before advancing to the first round. Stephen A., should LeBron want out after this season?
He should damn sure think about it, I'll tell you that much. But I'll say this, a couple of things that I think are important. Russell Westbrook was hilarious right there. He was absolutely hilarious. Please don't get me wrong. And I know he didn't mean it the way that it was coming across. But when you're struggling the way that he has struggled and the way the team has struggled, for this particular franchise, that's going to be taken differently. And him being a Los Angeles native should know that. If you're in Oklahoma City, you can do that because we know what he meant to that franchise. But the Lakers are a different animal. With championship expectations every year, that this team hasn't come close to living up to. And a lot of people point at him. So I just wish he'd guard himself because he'll end up getting criticized for it when it's not deserved, because I know he didn't mean anything by it. But just be careful with that. The other thing I want to say is this. Should LeBron consider wanting out of Los Angeles? Sure he should. I don't think he will because La La is different than Lake Erie, and I certainly understand that. But the flip side to it, y'all, is this. LeBron delivered the championship. And last time I checked, he's playing like an MVP candidate. The one person who should never be booed by the Los Angeles Lakers fan is LeBron James. No matter what, no matter how bad it is, no matter how good it is, this man has been a model of consistency, professionalism, and greatness for the Los Angeles Lakers. I think we all can look at LeBron's play on the court. If you wanted to get on him for the roster, that's a different matter. But looking at LeBron James play on the court, can we seriously sit here and look at him and find fault with how he has played? I can't. I watched him all year long. And I'm not saying he's perfect every moment because, of course, he's not. But you talk about a dude that is playing hard, is going all out, and producing digits. 29, 6, and 7? I mean, that's what he's averaging on 51.9% shooting, on nearly 35% shooting from three-point range at age 37 in his 19th season. Half the time without Anthony Davis. This is not the person that Los Angeles Lakers fans should be booing because he committed a turnover. That's what they did last night. And I would say to the Los Angeles Lakers fans, who I love dearly, Laker Nation, but mind your manners and watch yourself because LeBron has not cheated you. He has not done that. Remember where you were before he arrived and what you accomplished within 2 years after his arrival. I can't believe they got me defending LeBron James. But he deserves it here.
Well, you know what? You're about 50% right on some of the things that you said, and then the other stuff, I don't even know how you uttered it out your mouth. Okay, so because here's the simple fact. It wasn't about what LeBron James has did overall for the Los Angeles Lakers. It wasn't about what LeBron James has done up to this point of the season. They was booing LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers about last night. And if you watched the game last night, LeBron James, yes, he had 30-some points or whatever the case may be, but his body language stunk. It was horrible from the start of the game. His body language, and then it went all the way down to the last man, like the hanging of the head, the pouting, the not getting back in transition. He deserved to get booed. And you know what happened? In the first quarter, in the second quarter, LeBron was non-existent. Then all of a sudden, they started booing him late in the third quarter, and in the fourth quarter, he decided to start playing hard. So he doesn't get a pass at all. Now, should he want out later on down the line, but he can't want out after this season? Remember, you came on here time and time again. Remember, you came on here time and time again saying that he helped put this roster together.
That's true.
So if you made this bed, you have to lay in it. And the world knows how I feel about my brother LeBron James that I grew up with since the 7th grade. But accountability is accountability. And we cannot let him off the hook for this mess that is going on in Los Angeles. Although he has been playing well this season, in particular, last night, his body language was horrible. And as the leader of that team, he cannot do that.
I won't lie. I was watching the game last night in and out of a sleep nap because I knew I had to be here. And I was like, is that another turnover? Is that another turnover? Is that C.J. McCollum knocking down a three? Are they going to put up any sort of resistance? At one point, I legit thought I was watching a sketch of how bad the Lakers have been this season. But that's neither here nor there. I'm going to split the difference between the two of you, Perk and Stephen A. I think that LeBron should explore options to leave. Because if there's anybody in the league that has the cachet to make a mess and just kind of walk away, it would be LeBron James. And I think when we look at the arc of his career, he has not been bashful about wanting to be in the best position for whatever his goals are, both personally and professionally. Now, I understand that LA aligns with all of the other things he's doing off the basketball court, but really quick anecdotal story. When we were out at All-Star, one of the security guards just, chopping it up, chatting with him, he made the point that Kobe will always be the king of LA and that LeBron is the king of Cleveland. I understand that he says he wants to stay put, but I see this as a fluid situation because to me, in terms of the legacy and what he means to the state of Ohio, that should be something that is worth exploring down the road. But as far as this season goes, we knew how bad this team was in this last night. Is it the basement? Could it get worse?
We got to move on, but I'm going to say this. KP, you're absolutely right when you talk about the point of him assembling the roster. No disagreement there. I was just saying if it gets to a point where Laker Nation is lumping you in with the likes of Russell Westbrook, for example, or anybody else that they want to boo, that's a problem, and it should be a problem for LeBron James because last night notwithstanding, the vast majority of this season, we've seen him do what he's done.
Kirk, last word here.
No, no. Look, I don't disagree with you on that, but I'm just talking about last night.
Yeah,
last night. Not only did Lakers deserve booze, but he deserved it as well. I mean, his body language was horrible, and if I was on the bench in the locker room, I would have told him, "Hey, Bron, look, man, your body language out there, man, it's horrible right now." It was. Look, the whole team was just. It was just no effort whatsoever. I was sitting there saying to myself, it's a damn shame because they just quit on Frank Vogel. Everybody
which I told you would happen.
That looks bad.
Which I told you would happen.
They quit on him. Last night, they quit on Frank Vogel, and that's unfair to Frank Vogel, man, because this is a guy that you won a championship. I don't feel like all the people out there saying, oh, they could have had Ty Lue. Hey, do y'all realize Frank Vogel did help y'all win a championship? He can't teach Harden effort.
Yeah,
he can't go out there. He can't go out there.
We got to go.
Let's we'll have more on the Lakers. Yeah, let's leave it there. We'll have more on the Lakers later, guys. Let's get to a team that appears to have no problems right now. The Big Two. Friday night, did you see it? James Harden and the Sixers. Big Perk, talk to me. Couldn't have played better together, beating the T-Wolves 133-102 in Harden's debut with his new team finishing with 27, 8 rebounds, 12 assists to become the first player with at least 25 points and 12 assists in his first game with 3 teams. Then Sunday, Harden had 29, 10 rebounds, 16 assists, and a 125-109 win over Stephen A's sorry Knicks. Joel Embiid scored 37 and had strong words for what he saw in the duo.
Man, what are you really going to do? He's a great passer, and obviously I got someone that attracts a lot of attention to. So you got to make a decision. Do you stay on me or do you stay on them? I'm happy I don't have to post up every single possessions. So it's great.
We're overly confident, with the group that we have. I'm looking forward to Wednesday, man. Tonight felt like we was in Philly, but the crowd gonna be turned in there, and I'm ready for it.
Big Perk, I want to start with you. Do you agree with Embiid that the Sixers are unbeatable?
Yes. And by the way, let me add this. I need to get on the meal plan that James Harden is on, okay?
Right.
Because in Brooklyn, he was fat and he was out of shape. Boy, don't look right now. I mean, I thought I seen some biceps and veins popping out. I need to call him and get
Lean down real quick.
I don't know if he's joking or what.
Okay,
but listen, here's the thing. I said that they actually could have a possibility of being on the verge of being the next Kobe and Shaq. That was the wrong comparison. I'm looking at Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar right now. I mean, just because of James Harden facilitating, it's enough that people have to deal with Joel Embiid, by the way, who shot 30-plus free throws last night in the game, who fouled almost every big out of the game. When you put those two together, and when it comes to late game situations, pick and rolls, clearing out the side, going 2-man game, I don't know who in the hell could stop those two. They had trouble stopping just Embiid. Back 2 years ago, they had trouble stopping just James Harden. Now you have a motivated Embiid, a motivated James Harden, and you telling me that somebody in the league, a team in the league, could actually stop those two? I don't see it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go right now on the limb after 2 games and say this. I see the 76ers winning it all. The way that Tyrese Maxey is playing right now, the way that those two guys are playing, and they still haven't got a good version of Tobias Harris. I think he's going to come along. If those two could stay healthy, along with Tyrese Maxey, listen, the Philadelphia 76ers is bringing that trophy home this season. I don't know nobody in the NBA that's stopping them two, period.
All right, Perk. Okay, I hear you on the energy, but first of all, I'm glad that you brought it back from Kobe and Shaq, because what we're not going to do is act like James Harden is anywhere near the defender that Kobe was. And that is where I draw some issue with your enthusiasm over the Sixers. Is it delightful? Yes. Are we giddy about this team offensively? 100%. However, when we get ready to get to a series, because last night I watched two very good teams out in the West battle with one another. In particular, when they decided to go under screens, one team went on a run. When the other team went under screens, they went on a run as well. And so when we get into the playoffs, to me, the defensive part of this equation is going to be very, very important. Offensively, I get it. It's a thing of beauty. James Harden spaces the floor. Tobias Harris can knock down jumpers. Joel Embiid can work in the mid post area as well as the post. He can pop if he wants to. I get it. However, on the defensive side of the ball, I'm just concerned about the liability, because we know that this league is driven by pick and roll actions, and I just don't know what James Harden you're going to get when it comes to stopping some of the other firepower they will have to get through to win it all.
I'm going to make this quick. And I don't even need a response from either one of you, because after this, I got to get into another matter. We have to discuss a baseball item with the nonsense that's going on with them. But I want to say this. Kendrick Perkins, doing a great job for the network. This man just went on national television and talked about how the Sixers are going to win it all, and we just going to ignore who they did, what they did against.
That part.
We just going to ignore that it was against the Knicks, huh? We just going to ignore that. You see, this is the kind of thing, and this is the kind of thing that bothers me about Kendrick Perkins, who, like Malika Andrews and Shanae Ogumake, he could turn into a Benedict Arnold occasionally too, get contaminated by Molly. See, he brings up the Knicks when I want to forget about them. All right, and then when I want to discuss them, he'll forget about them. You see what I'm saying? I don't want to talk about the Knicks right now, but you forced me to, because of what you said. I have to remind you, Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, who looks depressed every time he has to walk into the Garden. Have you noticed? Most of the stuff that Julius Randle does is away from Madison Square Garden. When he steps into Madison Square Garden, it just seems to take on a different veneer, a different ambiance, a different mood. The brother looked depressed when he at the Garden. He looked depressed.
I did think that Jericho Sims showed some promise.
Okay. I like Jericho Sims.
There you go.
I like that. He's got promise, okay? I like some of these cats, but they ain't ready yet when you talk about Embiid and Harden. Come on. And so when we look at the Philadelphia 76ers, let me bring up another point that you didn't bring up, KP. We ain't seen the Nets on the court together yet. There's no Ben Simmons yet. There's no Kyrie with KD yet. Okay, KD is coming back. Mm-hmm. The mandate in New York City might be lifted. My God forbid that Kyrie Irving actually gets to play games at the Barclays Center. Ooh. We haven't seen that yet. I understand the greatness of Embiid and Harden. I get that. And if they continue to play like that, Daryl Morey looks phenomenal. I got that. But damn, can we see them play against Minnesota, somebody other than Minnesota and New York, before we make such proclamations? My goodness.
Is Minnesota? Last time I checked, Minnesota.
They're a good team. They're a good team.
Seventh in the West.
That's the problem you and I have, is that you don't realize that it is hard to win in the league. Okay, it is hard to win in the league.
Who said that we don't know that?
Okay, well, you the one acting like you because you
I said Minnesota. They're the seventh seed in the Western Conference.
Because you're sitting up here telling me about who they played against.
That
See,
matters.
what I look at is it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And I'm talking about in the sample size. I don't give a damn if they was playing against me, you, Monica, Molly, and you can even throw.
You are absolutely right. That's where the difference between us is. You're absolutely right, because if they were playing against us, I don't think it's a challenge.
My point in telling you this is, in this small sample size, and they haven't even been together long, it's only going to get better, Stephen.
And who they going to be playing against? Better people.
You keep bringing up Ben Simmons. When is he going to play?
Okay, wait a minute, Perk. Okay, let's take the Nets out of the equation. You don't think at all that this is a little bit of a honeymoon phase and everything is everything, considering the caliber of teams that they just beat? Because you got to acknowledge, Perk, it's going to get tougher. And that's when the rubber hits the road.
Monica, let me say something. This is the first time in a long time that we have seen a guard this talented, a guard, and a big this talented come together. And the last time this happened, they won a championship. That was Kobe and Shaq. Like, listen, when you're able to get a skill center that's unstoppable and a guard at the perimeter that's unstoppable, and you can't stop them from getting to the free throw line, this is not just going to happen to Minnesota or New York. This is going to happen to everybody.
KP, hey, hold on a second. Let's take your examples. Shaq and Kobe won 3 straight. They also got annihilated by, hold on, let me finish. They also got annihilated by San Antonio one year. We look at you guys in Boston. You won the title in 2008. Although injuries had a lot to do with it, and I think you being hurt had a lot to do with it, you ultimately lost in 2010. There are teams with greatness, particularly from the guard spot and the big man spot, who have lost. Magic and Kareem have lost. I mean, it happens. All I'm trying to say to you is this. You took a 2-game sample against one team in Minnesota who's very respectable, another team with the New York Knicks, who I got a lot of people there that I love, but I'm not even talking to them right now because I'm so damn disgusted with what I'm saying from them, okay? Losing 9 of their last 10. Don't even get me started on them damn Knicks. I'm just pissed off. But the point that I'm making is, no matter how great, and we know that James Harden is great, Joel Embiid is great, neither have won a championship yet. Championship experience comes into the equation. Right. You said they gonna win the champ.
You did take a big jump, Perk.
Last word here, Perk, and then we gotta roll. Perk,
don't run
close it out.
We'll be back. We'll be back. Yeah, I'll be back, Mr. T. I'll be back.
That's fine.
I'll be back. Ain't nobody scared of you.
I like your change, Perk. All right. Guys, we got to leave it there. The Nets still have the best odds to win the East, followed by the Bucks and then the Sixers. Monica and Perk will be back in just a bit. Now to baseball. Hassan, Jeff, always good to see you. Busy day, sir. Thank you for being with us. Jeff, tell me, what is at stake for MLB today?
Well, I mean, nothing other than the entire future of the sport. I mean, this is a sport that's on the precipice at times, it feels, of irrelevance. And the idea that Major League Baseball is coming in and potentially single-handedly shutting the game down after locking players out 3 months ago is honestly unfathomable. And you can understand, Molly, why players are as angry as they are. Their pay has been cut on average for 4 consecutive years now. Their service time has been manipulated for a decade now. They're looked at by owners, frankly, as pawns. And owners are now coming in and saying we don't want to raise the competitive balance tax threshold. That's the luxury tax threshold. So essentially they want to cap what players are being paid at this point. But it's more than that. It goes beyond just player pay. They recognize this game is not in a great place right now. And if they have owners who look at them less like partners and more like employees, the players are the game. Like that's what this comes down to. The players are the game, and I don't think the owners recognize
And one of the reasons I said, when we wanted to broach this subject, I said, call you, get you on the show, because I wanted you to provide your perspective before I gave my take, because I'm watching it from the periphery. I mean, I'm watching it from a distance. I'm a fan watching the sport. I'm not covering it like you are. And so my attitude is this. Football and basketball have really taken over in America in terms of the mind's eye of American folks. They watch folks. When you talk about people ingratiating themselves with the younger generation, basketball has definitely done that successfully, and football has made itself essentially into religion, where you've got people planning their Sundays around the football schedule, for crying out loud, including pastors. I happen to know this is true. So when you look at it from that perspective, we understand what's going on when you're talking about football and basketball. Baseball is a different problem. I think about the cancellation of the World Series in 1994. I think about how they had to lean on Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa's chase for Roger Maris's single-season home run record in 98 to resurrect the sport. What I'm trying to remind baseball fans about is that's 4 years after the cancellation of the World Series. That's how much it took for you to return to relevancy, because people were so turned off. At the gall, Vegas has brought this up on many occasions, and I have to give him credit for this. He has pushed for players doing their part in terms of marketing the sport more to ingratiate themselves with a younger audience. And I think that it's possible that owners have said, you're not doing your part to grow this sport. You're holding on to tradition. All you want to do is go out there and play, and you don't want to adjust to the times and what's necessary to really build an audience, because our audience continues to get older and older and older. How much do you believe that's playing a role in the owners taking this hard line position against the players?
I don't disagree with your premise on a lot of what you say there, Stephen A. Players could do more. Some players are not going to. That's just their personalities. But some guys absolutely could be out there more. I don't think that has a single thing to do with this, though. I think this has to do with one thing, Stephen A., and one thing only. And that thing is the only thing that these things are all about: money. It's always about money. It's always been about money. It's always going to be about money. It's not about the betterment of the game. It's not about the betterment of the players. It's not about the fans. It's not about their feelings. It's about none of that. It's about money. That's why we're talking about the CBT threshold, the league saying it's going to be $214 million and adding penalties. It's worse this time around than last time. Why? Because owners think they pay the players enough. Because as profits in the game have risen, as revenues in the game have risen, as franchise values in the game have risen, player salaries have not. And owners like that. They look at that and say, that's how the world should be. That's how you run a successful business, by paying your employees as little as possible.
Okay.
And so they're trying to squeeze right now. They are trying to squeeze the players right now. And if you look at the cancellation of opening day, it's not to go and throw the bird up at fans. No, it's to try and squeeze players even more and get them into taking another bad deal that's going to enrich the league and the owners that much more.
Well, Jeff, let me come back with this question then. I mean, because, again, you're talking about revenues up, everything's up except player salaries, and we get all of that. What about the resolve of the Major League Baseball Players Association now compared to what it was in the past? Because in the past, players looked at them, professional athletes looked at MLBPA as the model because they were strong. How are they viewed in today's generation?
That's a great point, Stephen A. For a long time, the MLBPA was seen as the strongest union, not just in professional sports, but in America. And I think labor peace, frankly, and remember, we had a quarter century of labor peace before this lockout. I think labor peace, I'm not going to say it made them complacent necessarily, but I'm not sure I knew what the resolve was going to be. I think two things changed that. Number one was when Rob Manfred called the Commissioner's Trophy a piece of metal. I say this, Stephen A., like in all seriousness, players still talk about that right now, like on their calls all the time. And COVID did it too, when they couldn't come to an agreement with the league on a season and Rob Manfred implemented a 60-game season. The players at that point were like, you know what? they've done these things to us again and again and again, indignity after indignity, insult after insult. How much are we going to take anymore? And at this point, we're going to find just how strong, Stephen A., that resolve is. But I would say this. I've been covering baseball for almost 20 years right now, and the level of engagement from players, nowhere close to where it is right now. I mean, it's far and away. You have not just players either. You got Max Scherzer, you got Garrett Cole, you've got Francisco Lindor. I mean, you've got stars at the table too.
How is Rob Manfred being viewed right now, and how should he be viewed in your eyes based on what has transpired?
Well, let's put it this way. Rob Manfred was the one who ultimately decided to lock the players out. Rob Manfred was the one who said about a month ago now, if we lose games, it will be a quote-unquote disastrous outcome. The players look at Rob Manfred and he's like a gift to them. He's the person around whom they rally. He is the enemy in their eyes, and I think they've been able to bring in a lot of the rank and file because of him. So, yeah, Rob Manfred has played a very large role in this, both operationally and in really engaging and igniting the players.
Appreciate you,
Jeff, thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
Really great info and perspective. You're the best, and we'll be talking to you soon. I know it's a busy day. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, guys.
Coming up here on First Take, of course, a developer to decide if they prioritize their rapidly improving 24-year-old, already two-time Pro Bowl quarterback who led the organization from 3 wins before his arrival to 11 wins and their first playoff appearance in 5 years, or rather, if they choose to financially prioritize committing to other areas and continuing to merely talk about addressing Kyler's long-term future as their quarterback. Unfortunately, every player, coach, and executive in the NFL knows or should know that words and hypothetical contractual promises are regularly dismissed and fleeting in their business. Kyler remains hopeful that the organization chooses to commit so that he can continue leading the Cardinals to further success and value for many years to come. Where's my guy Swaggo? There he is, Marcus Spears. Good to see you this morning. How we doing? How we doing?
I'm good. I didn't know we weren't like suit and tie on a Monday. I thought we were business casual today. On Monday.
I'm getting ready to travel to a warm weather state today after the show. Yo, Marcus, just for you, my brother. Not just for you, but partially for you.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
What, you go shopping this weekend?
He getting
I
ready.
can't.
Yes.
I can't.
And say, what's the first place you going when you touch that West Coast, man?
Say what? Say what?
Where you going? Where you going when you touch that West Coast? Where you going?
Well, LA's one spot. It won't be the only, but it's one spot.
All right.
Listen.
All right, let's stay focused, because we know Stephen A. gets very distracted. I know.
Let's move it.
I know.
No flavor with the producer whatsoever. No flavor. Got to get him. Let's go.
All right, we'll do it. We'll listen. I'm good at following directions. So, I'll start with you. How does Kyler come across in this statement? Do you like this by his agent?
I don't like it. I understand it. I understand what Kyler is in his career right now and all of the things that his agent pointed out about the success of the team. But ultimately, when you think about Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals, it's going to fall, I believe, in line with the same kind of back and forth we went to with Dak Prescott. And how we continue to have a conversation. How much should you pay him? Is he the long-term answer? How good is Dak Prescott in Kyler Murray's situation? I'm comparing the two. And when you think about it, like, yeah, we've seen phenomenal play from Kyler Murray. We've seen dynamic play from Kyler Murray with his legs. We've seen him lift this team at times. And then at times, y'all, we've seen him be bad. We've seen when things aren't around him, aren't align perfectly, him not have the type of success or show that type of ability to bring his team over the top. And then, too, when you start comparing numbers, and y'all know me, I'm not a crazy statistics guy, but Kyler Murray ain't been blowing things out of the water when you start talking about his numbers by season's ends. Yes, early in seasons, we've had him at MVP conversation. We've talked about how dynamic he was. We know that DeAndre Hopkins was injured, and that made a difference in their production offensively. But Kyler ain't thrown for more than 30 touchdowns, I believe, in his career thus far. Kyler hadn't led his team to a playoff win yet. All of these conversations that we are having about Kyler Murray a year in advance, we likened it to when we talked about not only Dak, but Lamar. That's what this all about, Stephen A. I don't like it from the agent, bro.
Marcus, Swagoo, I think that's a bunch of BS. But I'm not talking about you. Listen to me. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the position that you just articulated because of one reason and one reason only. I agree with everything you highlighted because I'm leaning on you for that football knowledge, right? And I still think it's BS. You know why I think it's BS? Because don't talk to me about anything you just highlighted, accurately highlighted about Kyler Murray without bringing up Cliff Kingsbury. Why you got the damn job? You were at Texas Tech. You had no NFL coaching experience. You leapfrog over white and black candidates to get this position. You replaced the dude that got 1 year on the job and got bounced, okay, in Steve Wilkes. That's Cliff of his passes in his NFL career. He had 70 touchdowns and 34 interceptions, okay? A better than 2-to-1 ratio, TD to interception ratio, okay? And he just took them to the playoffs. What I'm saying is this. If he don't get a damn raise or he don't get a huge contract, you don't get your contract. That's all I'm saying. I'm not challenging what you're saying in terms of its veracity. What I'm saying is it's incredibly unfair. Kyler Murray is in his 3rd year in the National Football League. He's a miniature-sized quarterback, 5'9", 5'10", listed, okay? Got to look over people to throw the damn football down the field, and he's still putting up better than decent numbers. And we talk about him, and we gonna let we gonna let Cliff Kingsbury off the hook or Steve Kines? Nah.
Were we ever under the impression that Cliff Kingsbury was the guy? Did we ever think that? I've said on this show with you a number of times about the Arizona Cardinals, and we both have said Cliff Kingsbury don't know what the hell he's doing. All right, I understand where you're going with that. You saying the coach and the tie-in to the quarterback is a direct correlation, and Kyler Murray can't reach his ceiling with Cliff Kingsbury. 100% agree with you,
I'm not even saying can't. I'm not even saying can't. I'm saying if we're going to hold Kyler Murray accountable, Cliff Kingsbury attached to the hip with him. That's what I'm saying.
I got you. But in this particular argument or disagreement that we're having, Kyler Murray agent sent the letter publicly. Talking about a long-term deal. They are not going to scrutinize Cliff Kingsbury. And like you and I, when we start talking about football, we look at the overall. We look at the things that are transpiring around Kyler Murray, saying why hasn't he played up to the level in which we see at times, but inconsistently. But when we start talking about this isolated situation, that's why I brought up Dak. That's why I brought up Lamar Jackson. We got Lamar, too, going into a contract situation with the Baltimore Ravens. Stephen A., we ain't going to mention Cliff Kingsbury one time.
Well,
we ain't going to talk about that one time.
Wait a minute. You say that, but remember what precipitated the agent coming out. About a week and a half ago, we had a discussion.
From the organization.
And the discussion was stuff that was being leaked about by the organization about Kyler Murray. Suddenly he looking for money, and we hearing character issues. So again, to me, the agent is perfectly within his right to come out in defense of his client when you leaking stuff out about him that you pointing to his character and stuff that justifies you potentially lowballing him.
SA. But in the same breath, you say he wanna. In the same breath, you say he want to be the long-term answer. So which is it? Because you and I can lament on this for the rest of the show. If the organization just came out and tried to smear your name or talk about the person that you were or your characteristics, why are you sending a letter publicly talking about you want to deal with this team long-term? And then me and you talking about Cliff Kingsbury. Does he really feel like Cliff Kingsbury is the coach to get him over the top? Because if he does, you're still asking for a long-term deal.
I'll answer
so
it real
you
quick.
want to sit in Arizona in the middle of an organization that put out nonsense about you.
I answer the question quickly. The answer to that would be yes, Wagyu, for one reason. When you're in your third year in the NFL and you're relatively young and they've already put out stuff about you that brings your character into question, if you go right back at them, what happens is it leaves justification for the organization not to pay you, and then you looking for another job where you ain't gonna get that money. That's why you take that position.
To be continued. To be continued. Marcus will be back with us in just a bit, guys. By the way, 9 quarterbacks that could be on the moves. Rodgers, Wilson, Cousins, Ryan Carr, Tua, Jimmy G, Jameis, and Deshaun. Much more quarterback news to get into in just a bit, but when we come back.
I don't understand how some of my comments over the weekend was taken to a whole different area of, could I see myself retiring as a Cavalier? I never said I would see myself playing in a Cavaliers uniform. I mean, I talked to Jason Lloyd, and he asked me, and I said, well, I don't know what tomorrow holds, but actually me playing for the Cavs, I don't know about that.
Okay. First of all, that fit is so fresh. I don't know who his stylist is. Cleveland, Stephen A., though, they're 4th in the East. So tell me this. Should the Cavs even want LeBron to return as a player? The average age on that team is just 24 years old.
No, they shouldn't. They really, really shouldn't. Because if you want LeBron, you should want him because of his gate attraction, his marquee, the money that he'll bring to the local economy and stuff like that, because he is King James, okay? And we know what he brings. But as a basketball team, they're so young and they're competitive and they're considerably cheaper. And more importantly, you're Dan Gilbert. Let's face reality. He never has, and nor will he ever have the greatest relationship with LeBron. It was a business arrangement. That's why LeBron ended up going back, because, listen, it was in his best interest to go and deliver on a promise he had made to the city from the time that he got drafted. And Gilbert, after all of that nonsense he said about LeBron James, ain't no coming back from that. We all understand that. But I want to do a favor for LeBron James and his peeps here right now. LeBron James ain't thinking about leaving the Los Angeles Lakers to go to Cleveland or anywhere else. And in fairness to LeBron James, his history has been his team being competitive and at least in championship contention before he departed. That was the case when he departed Cleveland. It was the case when he departed Miami. They lost in the finals, okay? Now he's in Los Angeles, okay? So it's not like these stories, and this is the thing that where I, like I said, usually I can be critical of this man, free throws or selective perimeter shots when he should go to the hole or whatever. But you don't hear me talk about his character because I don't think there's anything to denigrate, okay? And I've never done that, and I'm never going to do that to that brother because I think he's a great, great man. But this is the thing that really irks my nerves. Who wouldn't want to play with their son? If your son could ball and you had an opportunity to play with your son, that's all LeBron James is talking about. He's saying, look, man, if my son is good enough to get in the league, anywhere he went, I would want to be there. Now, there are some people who were cynics. And they were like, well, he's saying that to get his son in the league because right now he ain't projected to be some first-round pick. So if you sit up there and say, I'm going to come wherever my son goes, that makes him all of a sudden incredibly attractive because somebody could get LeBron James. I didn't take it that way at all. I took it on face value with LeBron meaning exactly what he said. Who would, if I had a son and I was in LeBron James' position and my son, I thought, had the potential to be in the NBA and I could last long enough to be a Ken Griffey Jr. with a Ken Griffey Sr., okay? Something along those lines. And I could pull that off, I would jump at that. And I don't think there's anything remotely wrong with LeBron saying that, nor does that mean that he's plotting to leave the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't believe that to be the case. I just say he should think about it because the way they look right now, the future don't look too damn bright for them. That's my personal opinion. But I didn't say he said that. So that's where I'm at.
Hey, Swagoo, it's good to be on the show with you again, my friend.
What up?
You gave me so much there, though, Stephen A.
Sure. You're giving me a lot with the pink on your cheeks, too, to go with your outfit. You're giving me a lot. You give me a lot, too. All right, I feel you.
Listen, LeBron James' character, A1. Thank you, Swagoo.
That's right.
A1, we trust his character. However, from you, the notion that wanting to play with his son as a sincere desire, but also knowing the power of his platform and who he is, the idea that those are separate things to me, I am surprised that you would go there and be so altruistic in that approach. Call me the cynic.
Yes.
Because as soon as the comments were made, first thing I did, class of 2023, ranked 43 according to ESPN.com, and that would be one Bronny James. So to me, not that he can't excel, but there is some work to do on his end.
No question.
If he's going to be an NBA
That's what
player.
I've been told.
But I took all of it. All of it worked together. Yes, he sincerely would like to do that, and that would be very special. He has given his life to the game of basketball, and his family has also sacrificed. But also, I'm LeBron, and I'm going to say what I want and see how this can positively affect my desire. They work together, no?
Well, you could say, before you go, Swagoo, you could say it works together, but here's the disaster for LeBron. And I'm not, listen, I want to preface my comments by saying I've never seen Bronny play. On purpose. Because his father is so huge.
Never will have.
If you put him in that spotlight, I think it's so unfair to a kid. And I'm not trying to brag or anything like that. I'm just your humble old Stephen A. But if I walk into a gymnasium where Bronny James is, everybody knows why the hell I'm there. So I'm not trying to
hang out with Drake?
I'm not, no, everybody knows what time it is. So I'm not trying to do that. But I will say this. It doesn't look good for LeBron if he pushes for his son and his son doesn't measure up. And so what I'm saying, that's why I believe he's sincere when he says, I want to play. LeBron doesn't strike me as somebody that wants to gas up his son if he doesn't believe his son is worth it. If he believes that his son would in no way measure up to being just an NBA player, to being worthy of being a first-round pick, I don't think LeBron does that. I don't think he puts Bronny in that situation because we all recognize, at the very least, he's a damn good father, actively involved with his son, and he wouldn't do that. So I don't believe that.
I'm going to tee this up to you, but the one thing that I will say, Stephen A., is the idea that this timeline is going to be perfect in terms of Bronny being a one-and-done type player may not come to fruition. Look at the path. We'll go legacy. Gary Payton Jr., right? Look at the path that he's had to go. We don't know, Swagoo, how Bronny will pan out. And so if, by chance, yes, he's an NBA player by someone's estimation, but maybe not someone else's, I just think having his dad give him the vote of confidence matters, and so it works together, Swagoo.
Yeah, let's be real, y'all. We see our kids a lot better than most people do. And I'm going to tell you, I've seen Bronny James play. He don't look like an NBA player to me right now. Now, that doesn't mean he can't progress into that. But based on these cats that I'm seeing in high school, I saw Zion Williams in high school. That looked like an NBA player to me. I saw Anthony Davis in high school. That looked like an NBA player to me. Bronny can play, and I'm here to cast no shade on Bronny's ability. He can hoop. But Bronny not even the best player on Sierra Canyon's team when we start talking about the NBA. Now, LeBron being his father obviously plays a role into his opportunity getting into the NBA with relationships and the ability to get better because he's going to be exposed to the best you have in order to get good enough or better in order to make an NBA roster or have a chance to get an NBA tryout. Now, to the question, should the Cavaliers want LeBron to return? Always. What are we talking about? They should always want LeBron James to come back and play in Cleveland. And I'm not talking about team chemistry or how young the team is. We all sit here and agree on First Take that LeBron can still play at a high level because he's actually doing it. All right, I know the Lakers are a mess. They are a horrible mess right now. But LeBron James ain't. He was born to play basketball. I've heard you say that a million times, just as well as KD. And it's funny to me how we have all of these conversations about young teams needing veteran leadership, and in this particular situation, the Cavs shouldn't want LeBron James. I get the distraction, and the team is fourth in the East, and they playing well. But in what world does LeBron James not make a team better
let me explain.
that's already good?
Let me explain. Listen to me carefully. I'm not remotely implying that he doesn't make them better. A matter of fact, I'd be on the record right now saying to you, if LeBron James was on this Cavaliers team, they should be the favorites to win it all. That's how much of a significance.
So why are you saying they shouldn't want it?
Because I was only talking about the fact that the relationship with Dan Gilbert. When I speak about the Cavaliers, I was only talking about Dan Gilbert. I'm not talking about the conventional basketball discussions you and I have. I'm saying if I'm Dan Gilbert, I'm the owner, right? I don't like you. I know you don't like me. But we came together after I wrote that trifling, petulant letter about you because you left Cleveland, right? I'm LeBron James. I'll never forgive you for that. But I'm from Akron, and my career would have never been fulfilled had I not come back and win that chip and deliver Cleveland its first title in more than a half a century. The city of Cleveland. If I'm Gilbert,
and let me say this.
I got that.
Let me say this to you, too. While Dan Gilbert was writing that trifling, stupid letter, he still wanted LeBron James in Cleveland.
I understand, but I'm not. But let me finish. What I'm saying to you is this: I got the chip, right? I got it, and so now that deficit has been erased, you and I and you, Monica, y'all all know this. A lot of owners, don't get me wrong, they want the chip. But once they get the chip, right? Not all of them, some of them. Once I said owners now, not the football or basketball operations chief or the owners. If you are competitive. But you got at least one, we good.
Yeah.
Because we don't have to deal with all the other stuff that comes with it. And with LeBron, there's always more stuff. And so as a result of that, if I got a young crew that's in the mix, competitive, I've given my fan base the impression that I'm here, we relevant, but I don't have to dole out the money. I don't have to dole out the perks. I don't have to build a practice facility in between Akron and Cleveland just to convenience you. I don't have to do all of this stuff. We could just play. That's all I meant by that. Nothing else. Nothing else.
Stephen A., before we roll here real quick, you don't really believe that LeBron wants to finish his career playing in Cleveland, though. You think he wants to stay with the Lakers.
No, I've been told emphatically on numerous occasions he has no intention of leaving L.A. This mess that we're looking at right now, he don't jump ship like that. That's not who he is. And to be honest with you, that hasn't been his reputation. So I'm going to take it at his word and leave it at that. And by the way, there's a lot of lines instead of Lake Erie. You know me. You know me.
Close the door, though. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, it's funny what a short period of time make.
That's right.
Exactly.
For sure. We'll leave it there, guys. You know who didn't close the door to moving? That would be Aaron Rodgers. So Mayor Eric Adams announced that the city's vaccine mandate will be lifted for indoor businesses, dining, and entertainment on March 7th as long as COVID cases continue to trend down. Our Adrian Wojnarowski on what this means for the Nets and Kyrie. Here's interpretation on New York City Mayor's announcement. Kyrie Irving remains restricted from playing under New York City mandate for large employers, but March 7th loosening of key to NYC mandate is another step in what's expected to be inevitably Irving will be cleared to play this season. So the mandate loosening won't apply to Kyrie because he is considered a Nets employee. He will be able to enter the building, but he cannot play. Stephen A., should Kyrie be able to play full-time?
I hope folks are sitting down because they might be shocked when they hear what I'm about to say, but my answer is an emphatic yes. I've been critical of Kyrie Irving. I didn't stutter. I'm not backing up. I meant every single damn word I said. But that does not mean that what New York has done to him is right. It is not. Kyrie Irving should have never been prevented or prohibited from playing a game at the Barclays Center this season. The city of New York's rule is bogus. It is ridiculous. And it has no business being in place. And Eric Adams, the mayor, who I like, by the way, needs to step up and handle his business in this regard, in this specific regard. We all in or we're out. The governor of New York needs to do the same. We in or we out. What do I mean by that, Monica? Very simple. How can a visitor come into the Barclays Center and be unvaccinated? How can they be unvaccinated, a visiting player, assuming there was one? I'm not saying there was. But if the rule stated, if a visiting player came into the city unvaccinated, they would be allowed to play at the Barclays Center and Madison Square Garden. How is it that a visitor could come and play, but Kyrie Irving can't play? It makes absolutely no sense. Even the commissioner, Adam Silver, said he was a bit flummoxed. That wasn't the word he used. I'm using that. But he was a bit flummoxed at the fact that that rule was in place. It made no sense. Either you have to be vaccinated in order to play at an indoor facility in New York or not. It shouldn't be, well, you're the home team, you're here, so you can't play, but a visitor can come into town and play. It makes absolutely, positively no sense whatsoever. Kyrie Irving has been thoroughly screwed over in that regard. There is no excuse for that. Nobody, you either in or you out. Either you have to be vaccinated to participate in competition inside the Barclays Center, or you can't. It can't be the home team can't play there, but a visitor could come in and play there. That is why I feel that Kyrie Irving should be allowed to play effective immediately. That's where I'm at with it.
All right, so this is what I will say, and I have caught heat from some folks for this, but the initial decision I had the capacity to make sense of. In the idea that tourism is a major part of your business, but if you can get your residents on board, then you can help mitigate the raising the head count of COVID cases, right? So the first part, I could rationalize. It's a little bit of a funky rule. Yeah, I get it. Maybe it's not fair. But I could understand it in the idea that I'm going to get my residents on board. Then at least that group will be protected, and tourism and visitors get to do what they got to do because they're leaving. The second part, though, I agree with you, Stephen A. If we are going to lift this thing, then it has to be lifted for all. And I don't understand the differentiation between private sector, public, the whole bit. At this point, if the mayor decides to move forward with lifting the ban, then Kyrie Irving should return to the court so that we can get Perk back on here when this Brooklyn Nets squad is loaded up again so we can talk about Perk in them 76ers.
Well, let me get on you. Okay. Because you disagree with me on the first part.
I did disagree on the first part.
I actually think that it's blasphemous that you disagreed with me on that part.
Okay.
Allow me to explain.
Please.
If indeed they're getting their house in order because tourism is an issue, that would mean business. What did you say? Tourism is business.
Yes.
Business is about dollars and cents, right? Because I'm a capitalist and proud of it.
Let's do it.
Ain't no shame in my game, okay? So we understand that. Well, last time I checked, Kyrie box office. Excuse me, he plays in an arena. You got thousands of people that pack the arenas all the time looking forward to this box office attraction playing. You are prohibiting him from doing so because you're talking about a health crisis that we are dealing with. But you exclude tourism from the equation, not you, the people who spoke to you.
I got you.
You're excluding tourism from the equation because
you skipped over my thing,
because of the bottom line. And I'm just saying the point is, if the bottom line is about tourism and it's about money, that's even less of an excuse to prohibit Kyrie Irving from being available to play and be the showstopper that he is in Brooklyn.
You picked tourism and skipped over the part about residents. And as a resident, the idea to me was to get residents on board, right? And quite honestly, we would need somebody to give us some numbers. I do believe that Kevin Durant is still box office. And so I don't think the Brooklyn Nets were hurting.
Well, time out. First of all, Kyrie lives in Jersey. That's number one.
That's a good point.
That's number one. All right. So when we talk about residents, the brother lives in Jersey. All right. So because he lives in Jersey, he travels to the Barclays Center to play basketball.
He exists there.
So again, the point that I'm trying to make is that the resident home team, I understand that Madison Square Garden, the Knicks, Barclays Center, the Nets. In the end, what it comes down to is that the citizens of Brooklyn, New York, and New York City are the people who don't get to see Kyrie Irving perform in person. How can you justify that when tourism is the reason, and tourism and residency is the reason you would repel this from transpiring? You're basically saying it's about business, because if it was all about a health crisis, it don't matter. Tourism don't even matter. Excuse me, when the pandemic first hit.
It did not matter.
Before the vaccine was available, and even after the vaccine was available, it still didn't matter. We got countries. Look at the Toronto Raptors. They played all season in front of an empty stadium. Why? Because the health crisis took precedent. So now you're telling me residency, tourism, that takes precedence? Well, if that takes precedence, that's even less of an excuse to prohibit Kyrie Irving from showing up to play at the Barclays Center. And Mayor Eric Adams, I like you, my brother. I appreciate what I'm seeing from you. I'm a fan thus far. I hope it continues. But this is something that you need to modify immediately. Kyrie Irving should be allowed to play at the Barclays Center effective immediately. Immediately.
If the mandate is changing, I completely
agree. I'm saying he should change the mandate.
Yes.
I'm saying Mayor Adams should change the mandate immediately.
All right, let's do it.
Immediately.
Now, yes. When it changes, I 100%
And by the way,
agree
they've lifted some of these mandates at indoor facilities for restaurants and stuff like that. So what the hell is the problem with the Barclays Center?
Yeah. Now,
ladies and gentlemen, real quick before we go to break, I just want to ask you, Stephen A. We didn't get to do it earlier. What's up with your Warriors? Because I saw Luka last night. They dropped 5 of 7. What's the deal? You concerned?
I'm not concerned. I'm not mere bag of shells. Not concerned at all. I'm sorry.
5 of 7.
Listen. I'm not concerned. Draymond Green will be back. James Wiseman will be in the lineup by next month.
Why is that so excited?
Klay Thompson is just getting better and better. Mere bag of shells. It's no big deal. The Warriors will be there when it counts. You can bet the house on that.
That was a quality win for Dallas, though. That was an impressive performance down the stretch.
They wouldn't do it the best 4-7. And I love Jason Kidd and my brand Nico Harrison. He's doing a hell of a job. And Jason Kidd doing a hell of a job. I'm very proud of what I'm seeing from the Dallas Mavericks. But they ain't happening in the best 4 out of 7. Not over 4 games.
Okay.
Ain't happening.
Okay, I'm just reporting the news.
You go ahead and do that.
Dallas is 5th in the West.
You go ahead and do that.
I just report the news. Listen,
Well, I'm a newsmaker. I'm a newsmaker.
So you
Mere
make the
bag
news,
of shells.
exactly, and I report
bag
it.
of shells.
Exactly,
Ralph
and that's how
Cramton,
I want it to stay.
Mere bag of shells. Ain't no
All right.
problem. Ain't no
All right.
problem.
All right.
Go to state of be there.
Let's leave it there, guys. Coming up, we're going to talk a little football. All right. Breaking news here into First Take. This from our Jeff Passan, who was with us earlier. Derek Jeter out as Miami Marlins CEO. He is stepping down as CEO of the Marlins, sources telling ESPN. Stephen A., El Capitan, your guy. What is your reaction to this?
El Capitan. That's exactly. I'm glad you said that. El Capitan, man, I miss that brother so much. I saw him in Miami last week. We ran into each other for a minute or so. It was great seeing one of the greatest ever. As far as I'm concerned, this is great news because I got news for you. He never should have been there. I mean, outside of the weather and there's no state income taxes in Florida, he never should have been there. Now, if what really should happen is that the Yankees should be picking up the phone and asking what kind of relationship do we need to have with one another in an official capacity moving forward? Because Derek Jeter with anybody but the Yankees just seems sacrilegious to me. So as far as I'm concerned, get Derek Jeter back into the fold. The New York Yankees haven't won a World Series since 2009. As far as I'm concerned, that has a lot to do with Derek Jeter being gone, all right? The man is one of the greatest ever. There is nothing to say about him. I mean, if you saw a pimple on his face, it should be news because that's how unblemished he's been throughout his illustrious career. He's El Capitan. He's Derek Jeter. And as far as I'm concerned, the New York Yankees should consider this good news. I don't know what Brian Cashman and the Steinbrenner sitcom twins or whatever could come up with, but they need to find a role, a significant role for Derek Jeter with the Yankees organization. That's what I'm happy about.
Stephen A., I know I'm putting you on the spot and asking you to read the tea leaves, so bear with me here, though. Do you think this has more to do with the Miami Marlins organization or what's happening in baseball in terms of trying to reach a deal?
I don't know. I have absolutely no idea about that.
Okay.
In all seriousness, I'm not informed enough on this particular situation to even speak on that. Jeff Passan would be the ideal person to ask that question to. But I would tell you that, I look at Derek Jeter and I say, hey, there are times I looked at the Marlins and I say, you know what, they're more competitive than I thought. Their record may not always say that, but I've seen some talent on their squad. And I look at Derek Jeter, I just think he's synonymous with the New York Yankees, and he's synonymous with baseball. Derek Jeter being involved in baseball in an official capacity is good for the game, especially if he was back with the Yankees.
Yeah, my mind went there because the timing was a little bit interesting, but obviously one could have nothing to do with the other. And we should certainly ask Jeff about that, get him on the show. Let's leave it there. I want to get to your boy, that bad man.
17 seasons.
To be the highest paid player in the NFL. And we're not just talking a few $million bucks. We're talking being paid as the highest paid player in the NFL by a wide margin.
All right, Rodgers' former teammate Greg Jennings responded to that in an appearance on Fox Sports First Things First on Friday. People change, but some things never do. Aaron Rodgers has been a very selfish guy. You can't do that and want to win. How are you going to try to win? Guys got to look out for themselves, but in doing so, you cut out the legs of others. At the quarterback position, you cut out more than just a pair of legs. Marcus Spears back here with us, and I'll start with you, Marcus. Is Rodgers selfish for wanting more money?
He's not selfish for wanting more money. He's selfish in regards if he wants to be. Now, there's conflicting stories because Aaron Rodgers has said, I believe since then, that he doesn't want to be the highest paid player. Right, he's denied it. But ultimately, if he wants to be the highest paid player by a wide margin, Aaron Rodgers don't want to win a Super Bowl. Those two things don't go hand in hand unless he just wants him and Devontae Adams to be on the field for the Green Bay Packers. When you think about all of the things we talked about with Aaron Rodgers up until this point, all of the drama that's been surrounding Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers, is he coming back or not? I'm tired, y'all. Like, I promise I'm tired. Y'all know how we say it. I'm tired. I'm just tired of it all. But ultimately, if he wants to be the highest paid player, then his focus is not a Super Bowl. All right, we don't equate what the Green Bay Packers have the opportunity to do roster-wise with Aaron Rodgers being the highest paid by a wide margin in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers has talked about, I need more players, I need more people. That doesn't equate to him asking us 2 years about them winning a Super Bowl if this is going to turn into the conversation about him wanting more money. He hadn't been the highest paid quarterback and has not won a Super Bowl. I don't know how him being the highest paid guy is going to equate to winning the Super Bowl.
Well, here's the part that I think, and I'm always shocked that football players such as yourself miss this point. I have no problem with Aaron Rodgers wanting to be the highest paid player in football. I have a problem with him not winning the Super Bowl.
We agree.
All right. But I have no problem with him not wanting to be the highest paid player in football. But it's specifically for this reason. Just like owners come to players to consistently restructure their deal, just because you're the highest paid player doesn't mean you're always going to get the highest salary year after year. That just means they have to constantly come to you to restructure, which means that while doing so, they've got to capitulate to some of the wishes that you may have. So it's almost like a de facto managerial position to some degree, Swagoo, where I got this salary.
You love this dude so much you get blind. This dude so much you get blind, man.
Listen. Well,
go
first
ahead.
of all,
go ahead.
I'm just saying, if I'm not making sense, then tell me that. But don't just lean on my love for the brother. I mean, am I not making sense?
I will tell you.
Go ahead.
Please. I will tell you why you're not making sense.
Please, go ahead.
Because Stephen A., Aaron Rodgers is about to go into his 18th season. How long you think they going to spread money out so he don't have a major cap hit? This is not going to be a base salary of $15 million and they give him a bonus for 50.
How many years do you believe Aaron Rodgers has left in the NFL? I'd say at least
First of all, I have no idea because I don't know if Aaron Rodgers still want to play or if he want to play for another team. But 2 at the most. I would say 2 with Green Bay at the most.
Okay, I would say 3. I'm at 3, and then I think he walks away. But what I'm saying to you is this.
Okay.
I'm just using logic. No intel whatsoever. I'm just using logic. I've seen teams come to players on countless occasions, players that damn near ain't making much.
100%.
And they ask them to restructure their deals or what have you. What happens is that when you're in Aaron Rodgers' position, ultimately, the more money you get, the more they need to come to you before they make additional decisions because they got to move money around. And all I'm trying to say is that that's basically feeding the ego. We gonna give you your money to some degree. We gonna make sure you gonna get what you gonna get. But in the end, what it really does is put him in a position where he's truly not just the face of the franchise, but he has significant cachet because you've got to coordinate with him before you make moves.
But that's
and there's nothing wrong with that.
I got you. And I understand what you're saying about how they should have a we agreed on that a year ago about how they should have a conversation with Aaron Rodgers on roster moves. The point I'm trying to get you to see is you can't make them damn roster moves if he account for $50 million of your cap. We've had a conversation about Aaron Rodgers wanting more players. This team needs to be better. We need more receivers. We need more weapons. They need to do this. Ain't that how we got here with the Green Bay Packers? All of this conversation that we've had with Aaron Rodgers as opposed to the Green Bay Packers, didn't we get to this conversation because he didn't have enough players? If he's asking for $50 million, he's going to be a cap hit that's not going to allow him to have dynamic game-changing type playmakers. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
If Aaron Rodgers get $50 million, I'm happy. He deserves it. He earns it in between the lines. But he ain't trying to win no Super Bowl if that's what he asking for.
I agree with you there. But again, if he sits up there and it may not necessarily be $50 million, and like he said, he denied, according to reports, that he's asked for that. But again, assuming there's a shred of truth to it, at the end of the day, just because you agree to that deal doesn't mean that they can't come to you and say, okay, well, you want this player, you want that player, and you know what, we're going to give it to you on the back end, but we're going to take care of this right now. That's all I'm saying. And that puts a player in a powerful position. And more so than in the NFL, players really want that in the National Football League because we know most of them don't have it.
All right. I'll wrap it up by saying this. There are 5 quarterbacks currently that make more than Aaron Rodgers. Patrick Mahomes obviously is the highest at 45 a year. Then it's Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson, and then Russell Wilson.
Nobody should be making more than him than Patrick Mahomes. Nobody.
It is so good to see you. Great to have you on. We missed you. Come back soon.
It was fun, family. I miss y'all too. Yes, soon,
we'll talk
please.
Soon. Okay. Stephen A., I heard it's